So, this is game number 1 of a best of 3. No, it's not. It's game number 1 of a best of 1. It's the first round game. I can't believe that I think it's a best of 3. But actually, I can. And when you see the two players, you will understand why. Spawning up in the top left-hand position of the map, we've got the blue Zerg player representing my insanity. It's Sacsri. And his opponent, spawning to the top right of merry-go-round, the red Zerg player for Team Liquid. It's Snute. Very much looking forward to how these two are going to be duking it out. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do here. Of course, ZvZ is a very knife-edge matchup. Any moment can lead into disaster. We've got no Apels coming down at the moment. Just both of these two happy to drone up for the time being. This should actually be a fairly equal match, actually. I don't think they've met each other for quite a while, although I must confess I don't want to bet on that because I'd have to actually look it up. My brain isn't quite a complete repository of knowledge of every single StarCraft matchup that there has ever been. But yes, looking around the map, Hatch first coming down now from Sacsri. Meanwhile, Snute, he went for the pool first, so slightly safer opening from the Liquid Zerg, who's going to go follow that up with a hatchery of his own. Sacsri may decide to go gas into pool. It depends how risky he's feeling. He's already gone up to, wow, he went up to 17 drones before he went gas there. So Sacsri is pretty much playing as greedy as possible. Spawning pool coming down there at the moment, and, well, this is all looking fairly normal for the time being. Nothing too crazy going on. And P572, I do sometimes update the stream title. I try and do it as often as I can, but I forget. I have a lot of stuff going on when you're observing, casting, and also managing the stream. Trying to remember to update things as well. And Twitter, and everything else that there may be. But anyway, this game, what have we got going on? Really the follow-up for this is going to be quite revolving around whether Sacsri keeps the drones in gas or not. If he does pull them out, then it's probably just going to be an early speedling play. If he keeps the drones in gas, we're going to be looking more into the Baneling style. Sacsri already up to 72 gas there, so should be seeing speed start up shortly for him. And then he'll probably, I want to say that he's going to keep a couple of drones, and he may actually keep it all and go very, very aggressive off the back of this. But no, he's going to pull all but one out, so just going to grab speed, keep it trickling through. This will give him a lot more map control. Make sure is going really quite solid for him. Snute is managing to sneak on through. He's going to see the gas, and importantly sees that only one drone is left in there. This scout for Snute is really important. It's given him the information to know how many, well, when the gas was taken, when speed was likely coming, and also that there's not likely to be a Baneling follow-up anytime soon. So over at Snute's side, he's obviously got speed coming, but he's kept all three of his drones into the gas geyser. What that means is that he is looking to follow up with further tech. That could be a Baneling nest. It is going to be a Baneling nest as it starts up. Just making sure that he's secure up against a potential speedling all-in. That is something that Sacsri could be attempting to do. Queen comes out forward at the moment. Going to be just trying to pick off some of these Zerglings. The first few losses will come on Sacri's side. Losing just 2 Zerglings, 3 going down there. Snute just being a little bit careful with this Overlord. Having to float it on back away from these 2 nasty queens picking away at it. But between everything, this is still looking fairly standard. The first bigger waves of Lings now coming through. Okay, Sacsri is now pumping out a lot of Speedlings, going up to 16. It's not crazy, but speed is about to kick in. Snute is a bit behind in speed, but he's got the Baneling nest. Not going to be a huge commitment from Sacsri. We know that because he does have that Spine Crawler. Sacsri, of course, also knows the fact that there's a Baneling nest there, so he wouldn't get too aggressive with it. You've got to be a very, very bold man if you want to try and go Speedling up against Zergling Baneling. And by a bold man, I mean you've got to be crazy. You've got to have a lot of confidence in your play. So both players with speed now, but the Banelings on Snute's side should force Sacsri back. So this now takes us to look at the drone count. 33 to 33. Very, very even game at the moment. The biggest difference is 75 more resources lost. Massive Baneling hit there, though, by Snute, and that hugely swings things into Snute's favour. Sacsri doesn't have to be too concerned because he's got these 3 queens and the wall off with the Roach Warren and Evolution Chamber, plus the Spine. So it's going to be very difficult for Snute to break that. But in terms of sheer damage, he just picked off a massive group of Lings. 20 Lings going down, 10 lava. That's 10 lava Snute now doesn't have to worry about, and it's allowed him to get a little bit of a drone lead. It's allowing him to take a third base greedy, knowing that those Zerglings aren't out on the map anymore and can't really be a threat to him. So all in all, I'd say Snute is in a very strong position at the moment. Sacsri hasn't got the vision of the third base yet, but he is pulling an Overlord across just to come and check on that. He's lost the ability to scout with Speedlings because he lost all of them. If he made more, it'd mean that he'd start falling behind in terms of the drone count. So he's just having to give up on that and go, okay, I'll blindly make my third, hoping that I'm not in too much of a rough position. But he's already behind. He's going to come over, confirm the fact that Snute does have his own third, but it's going to be limited chance to actually do much. This Overlord for Sacsri should be able to sneak on away, 40 HP on it. And now we're going into the Roach phase of the game. Both players with the +1 coming down. Roach speed at a slight advantage for Snute, but it's very, very fractional. Not enough to really be sitting there and making a big song and dance about it. Probably the biggest thing we've got to keep an eye out is whether this third base can be cancelled. And that's what Snute's really looking for at the moment. He's got a couple of Speedlings just waiting down in the wings, ready to come on through if he were to see a movement out from Sacsri. But Sacsri probably isn't going to be trying to move forward. He doesn't have enough stuff. These Lings can't contend with this number of Roaches, so they'll have to retreat. Snute quickly pulls them back. A couple of free kills there for Sacsri, which he's going to be very happy with. Supply count is looking slightly in favour of Snute. He's got a small lead in the Roach count, but also these 5 Banelings. Overall, drone-wise, though, still neck and neck. Slight advantage for Sacsri, but before that, it was a small advantage for Snute. So neither player taking any big wins, neither player really pulling too far ahead. Obviously, in the resources lost, Sacsri losing a slight bit more, but at this level of play, small resources lost like that are probably going to get balanced out by the time we've reached the 10-minute mark anyway. So +1 is coming on through, and upgrades always are going to be a big factor. The carapace that Sacsri's just started isn't going to be the biggest factor if it stays on Roach versus Roach, and that's because the carapace upgrade doesn't actually reduce the damage Roaches do by a considerable percentage. If it transitions into Roach Hydra, certainly then we will start seeing a bit of a difference. So a small group of Lings try and go for a run by. They don't get any worker kills, but it's Snute pushing through the middle that's actually maybe a bit more concerned about. A couple of Banelings, if they can connect, will get a good burst bit of damage through the spine, will get taken out quickly. Snute going to be trying to go for this at the moment. He's up by a lot of Roaches, but Defender's advantage is still there for Sacsri. The Concave looking very nice for Snute at the moment, who's taking a great fight, pushing on in, getting some good damage down. Sacsri looking to be in some trouble. Overall, army supply is in Snute's favour. He's trying to pick away at any Roaches that he can. Doesn't want to overcommit. The trouble for Sacsri is pushing through that choke would be exceptionally dangerous. He's losing a couple more Roaches every time this comes on through, and Snute is just containing his opponent very nicely. The third base could be running into some trouble now. Will Snute try and go for that, or is he just going to pick off a couple more Roaches where he can? Grabbing a few is always going to be beneficial. If we look at the resources lost, about 1,100 more resources gone down the pan for Sacsri compared to Snute. Both sides reinforcing. Snute trying to sneak out a couple more drones, which I'm actually a big fan of, because if we look, while that aggression has been going on, while Sacsri has been not panicking but responding with a lot of unit production, Snute's been able to sneak out a couple more workers, giving him a 10 drone lead. That's very substantial. Sacsri, though, not out of this yet. He's looking to counterattack with a couple of Speedlings, although Snute's Overlord did give him vision of that, so he's positioning his army to make sure that no damage can be done there. All in all, both of these two players are really gunning for it. It's a best of one, remember, so it all comes down to this match. Sacsri going to be getting a little bit of revenge on the 3 Roach kills as Snute tries to retreat. He sacrifices a couple more Roaches to allow the majority of his army to get away. A couple of Speedlings harassing into Snute's natural, but they're not going to last long. Baneling hit went off there as well by the looks of things. Still checking, making sure that neither of these two are doing anything that crazy. Sacsri trying to take a 4th, but that's a macro hatch, not actually a mining base. Snute, on the other hand, is transitioning into Roach Hydra. Grabs that Hydra den up. It hasn't actually been seen by Sacsri, so he's not aware of that. Pushing through the center, though, Snute up at a good Roach count, 57 to 42. Numbers are in his advantage, although Sacsri does have the carapace advantage over Snute. +2 missile attack, though. A long way ahead for Snute. Sacsri did try and level that up by going for a Contaminate from the Overseer, but I don't think it's going to be enough to level it out. Snute's leaving himself with what's going to work out at nearly a 2-minute advantage in terms of that +2, and that's huge when we start looking at the Roach on Roach engagements, even more so when we bring in the Hydralisks in addition to that. Couple of defensive spines coming on through for Snute, and I really like that as a choice. It means that those small little Ling run-bys, like we saw a couple of minutes ago, will be far less effective than they otherwise may have been. So Roaches, trying to find somewhere to get a little attack. Snute has his first few Hydralisks out on the field now. Only 9, but that's a surprisingly big boost into the DPS of his army in any straight-up engagements, and Roach Hydra will always trade very nicely up against pure Roach if the positioning is good. Sacsri going in for this now. He has got a very large army, but Snute's slightly bigger. Plus, he's got the +2 attack upgrade. Sacsri is not going to fare well in this fight. Snute able to force him away. The 4th base may get scouted, but it's not going to get taken down. Sacsri cannot take an engagement there and is forced to retreat away. Snute taking quite a large supply lead. He's looking to flank with a couple of additional Roaches, but all while this is ongoing, Sacsri is the one going for a bit of damage. He's trying to push in, but has he split his army too thin? The attack upgrade was already a big benefit for Snute, and it's really showing here. Sacsri is able to pick up a few more units, a couple more workers here, allowing him to take a worker lead, but he may lose his 4th base in exchange for that. Not a trade that would be worthwhile. Snute easily takes that down, dishes out some great damage. The upgrades are now level 2-1 on both sides, but the Hydralisks for Snute are really helping. In we go now. Snute trying to take a solid trade. He's got a much larger army engaging, but reinforcements from behind of Sacsri will help him. Concave, though, massively in Snute's favor. Those Hydralisks dishing out a lot of damage. The Roaches tanking at the front for them. Sacsri's supply plummeting down. Snute bringing in his own reinforcements now, and Sacsri looking to be in a lot of trouble. The Liquid Zerg is going to be able to take this first game and will advance on into the round of 16.